So we'll give it another minute. Um, but yeah, welcome. I hope you've all had a lovely Tuesday. Um, yes, give it a couple of minutes, get other people in, and then we'll get kick started. It's lovely to have people joining us this evening to talk through AI, and how to use it the right way when applying for jobs. Quite a hot topic at the moment. So we'll give it another minute, get a few more people on. Any sort of key information will be put into the chat box this evening. So we'll be including links, anything that's relevant for you when you're attending the webinar. And then we'll be joined by our Pearson representatives as well. We'll give it one more minute, get everyone settled, make sure they're ready. Okay, I'm going to start launching a poll, just to get a bit of an idea of who's joining us this evening. So that should have launched, hopefully. It's what describes you best. Are you a student, parent, teacher? And what year group are you in? Thank you. Oh, straight off the mark. So we've got students, lovely, amazing. What year 11? Fabulous. Year 12, couple who've left school, really interesting. Thank you for joining us this evening. Lots of year 12s coming in as well. Amazing. Fab. Brilliant. We'll give it another couple of minutes just to get everybody answering, but really love it. Straight on the off the mark. Lots of students. Great. A couple of parents as well. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Okay, fab. I'll leave that up for another minute. Brilliant. Thank you all so much for completing that for us. Yeah, so majority year 12s this evening. Fab. And then, yeah, lots of year 13s, great. And yeah, a couple who have left school. Okay. What we'll do is we'll get kick started. I'm conscious of, yeah, keeping you for this evening. But yeah, thank you for joining us for smart applications using AI the right way when applying for jobs. As I said, big hot topic at the moment. And so Pearson have agreed to share their knowledge and their expertise on this as well. But just to get you a bit kick started as well. So my name is Gemma and I work for Pathway CTM. So I'm going to give you a bit of background information on kind of who we are. So there I am, I'm an account manager and a delivery manager, kind of working with different companies like Pearson and kind of delivering sessions across the UK. And I'm joined by my colleague Catherine, who is on the back end. So any questions that come in, she'll be able to help when she's waving. There she is. Any questions that come in, she'll be able to help with those as well. But please do put any questions in the chat box or the Q&A box as we go through. So I guess for Pathway CTM, who we are, so our purpose, our kind of mission statement is driving young people to find the right pathway for them to kickstart their career. And the way we do that is by inspiring them, hopefully having these sessions and giving you new knowledge of different opportunities available to yourselves, informing you, making sure you have the right information to make the best choices for yourself as well. And also that level of support, being able to reach out to us for advice or guidance on those applications, or any apprenticeships that you might find. So the way in which we do this is free employer events. Like you sign up and we offer a multitude of those across the year involving different sectors. We also offer one-to-one mentoring sessions for different employers that we work with, where you're able to speak directly with somebody who works at Pathway and they'll be able to give you guidance on kind of job interviews, your applications, any assessment centres that you might be taking part in. We have free employability resources. So if you haven't made your CV yet, you're not sure on how to do a cover letter, we're able to support with that. We also post different opportunities on our website. So these will be apprenticeship opportunities or work experience opportunities. And across the year, we also have competitions. And who doesn't love a competition? So as I said, those free employer events, you will notice, and we'll give you a bit more context about this, that the picture I've chosen is we actually have a series of events with Pearson this year, which is very exciting. So we've tried to showcase them here and they'll be happening kind of every month up until June. So there's lots to learn. As I said, we have our employment opportunities as well. So when you go into the website, these are shown across the top, and this will show you different employers, the opportunities they're offering, the closing dates, the roles, kind of what's involved in there, and also the location. So these are across the UK. So wherever you're from, there might be an opportunity that's of interest to you. And as I said, we support students. So here's some people within our team. We've got Ramatulai and Mel are just two of the people who are you're able to reach out to, who will be able to offer you support. So they are also kind of account managers. So they work with these different employers. So they get the inside scoop on what you need to do to make your application the best and stand out from everyone else. We also have a podcast, which is very exciting. We've got our employer podcast. We've actually just launched our education podcast as well. And the reason we do this is to give you kind of the opportunity to listen to different apprentices, listen to different employers, and just learn a bit more about kind of what goes into those different career opportunities. You can get that on YouTube as well, which is really exciting for us. As I said, so webinars with Pearson that we've created Pearson calendar. So this is the upcoming events. So the previous events are already on the Pearson playlist on our YouTube, but we have linked the upcoming events for you. So we've got kind of those smart applications using AI, understanding kind of what goes into an apprenticeship journey, thinking about what's next, managing exam stress as well. So those coping strategies that you might need, thinking about applications and what support that you can look into, and also those employability skills. Part of with Pearson is we also have a podcast workbook. So we did a podcast with Pearson. It's an amazing lesson. And there is a workbook that can be completed. And I think the overall aim is to try and get as many people on these webinars to gain that knowledge and that expertise that Pearson are sharing, and had the opportunity to get a participation badge to add to your LinkedIn. So that's if you complete the podcast workbook, and Catherine's going to link this for you, and attend 5 webinars, you can receive a participation badge that can be put on your LinkedIn, and potentially the opportunity to attend the Pearson office in July. So very exciting. Just to give you a bit of an idea of what the podcast workbook looks like. It is linked on the calendar. It's nice and easy to complete. You complete it by a type form and send it in to us, and then we're able to let Pearson know kind of who has completed it, and we'll be able to send out that badge for you. As I said, the Pearson playlist is on our YouTube. It's also linked on the calendar as well. So I think my colleague Catherine is going to drop this in at the end of the session. So if it's of interest, just click on it. And if you have any questions, please do reach out to us. Okay, so I'm going to post a quiz very quickly for you, and it's a bit like, what do you already know about AI? It's a couple of questions, so it shouldn't take very long. Okay, just going to make sure I can end this poll as well. But yes, should be a couple of questions for you guys to answer. Okay, so 3 questions. What do you currently know about AI? Do you currently use AI? What does AI stand for? Which of the following as an example of AI in everyday life? And then we've also got which task would be the hardest for an AI to do properly, to do perfectly. And AI is always a great tool when when applying to applications or apprenticeships. Okay. So yeah, most people are all currently using AI. Interesting. What does AI stand for? Well done. Artificial intelligence. Okay, which of the following is an example of AI in everyday life? Fabulous, amazing. Which task would be the hardest for AI to do perfectly? And we've got the last one as well. So the one at the bottom is controversial, and this is kind of what we're going to be talking about this evening. So AI is always a great tool to use when applying for applications. Okay, so make sure I've got all my answers here as well. So first one, obviously, is optional. Do you currently use it? Some people said no, which is really interesting as well. What does AI stand for? It is artificial intelligence, so well done. Perhaps for everybody who answered that question. Which of the following is an example of AI? Yes, a voice assistant like Siri or Alexa would count as AI. Which task would be the hardest for AI to do perfectly? It would be to understand sarcasm in a group chat. I mean, yeah, they can't understand sarcasm very well, so that would be the hardest. AI is always a great tool to use when applying for applications, and I guess I'm going to pass over to Siobhan and Petronella to give us a bit more information about AI. Okay, thank you both.
Thank you, Gemma. Thanks so much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session that is all about smart applications, using AI, potentially the right way to use it when you're applying for jobs and things like apprenticeships. So basically, over the next sort of half an hour, my team are going to take you through what recruiters are looking for right now, how you can really put your best foot forward, how you can avoid the pitfalls of using AI, and how you can make some really basic and simple steps in your journey through applications to enhance your application and really lean into using AI in the best way possible. And I know for many of you, based on your responses, if you're in year 12 and 13, this will be top of mind right now. So you will be thinking about the next part of your careers and planning applications. So I'm hoping that this webinar is very timely for those of you that are actively applying for roles right now, and that the context is genuinely helpful. Pearson, many of you will know us as an awarding body in the UK, but we are also a FTSE 100 large employer. So we have talked across the business at length about how we are leaning into the use of AI in terms of our apprenticeship applications and how we recruit employees to our workplace. And we've pulled it all together, which I'm hoping will be really helpful for you as you kind of navigate these changes and application tools. So next slide. By way of introduction, I'm Siobhan Bradley. I'm the Manager for Early Careers and Talent Programmes at Pearson. I'm joined tonight by Petronella Mee, who is a technical sourcer apprentice, but is also an early careers lead in my team. Both of us will be bringing you some hands-on experiences of what we've seen with AI being used through the candidate experience through the work we do internally with our own apprentices. But we'll also be joined a little bit later by our colleague Sam Smith, who will be joining us via a video link, and we'll be talking about insider tips from a recruiter viewpoint. And she brings many years of experience of recruiting, specifically in the tech arena. So she's seen AI used at its best and at its worst. So I'm hoping that some of her tips that she's going to share from the inside will also help you with your applications. Next slide, please, Petronella. I mentioned that Petronella and myself are from Pearson. Many of you may have even been on some of the Pearson qualifications if you've been on a BTEC, or you do your exams of Edexcel, have maybe thought or been on a T-level placement qualification. All of that, as you may know, are owned and run by Pearson. We are a FTSE 100 global organisation. We operate out of 170 countries globally with about 20,000 employees. So a relatively big organisation, and we do a lot of recruitment ourselves. So I'm hoping that the wisdom we can give you as a large employer, and not just our sector-based foothold in the UK as a large apprenticeship employer, will help you kind of with AI skills. So if you go to the next slide, Petronella, a little bit more about Pearson. So we are a relatively old company. So we've been around since 1844. We have seen the company change massively during that time. So as you can see there, Samuel Pearson founded Pearson & Son back in 1844. It was a construction company. We were very well known at that point for our powerhouse in things like building bridges and docks, tunnels to global infrastructure. So very much rooted in construction. So we pivoted in the 1920s into the publishing arena, and from there expanded into things like owning TV and broadcasting media outlets. We also owned Madame Tussauds, the amusement and kind of entertainment kind of visitor centre, which is an odd one for us to have owned. We've owned vineyards in France. We've owned our own TV programmes and licensing around them, through to in the early 2000s, the company being reconfigured and refocused to primarily look at education and the learning space. And that's where we are today. We're known as the world's leading learning company, and we operate and have lots of different products and services that we offer across the world. Next slide, Gemma. I think you're navigating slides. That's our purpose. So that's what gets me and Petronella out of bed every day. So it's the purpose and drive that we have is to help people realize the life they imagine through learning. And we do this through various guises, through the qualifications that we offer, and helping people achieve those credentials that they need in order to progress in their life and their career. But more and more, we're working with employers as well to help employees in their day-to-day life get the skills they need to be better in their jobs and to progress in their careers. If you go to the next slide, some of the brands you may know, as I've said, are more kind of tied to things like schools and colleges. And more recently, we've had a really kind of massive shift into the digital and technology space with releases in terms of products such as MyLab, Pearson eTextbooks. We also own something called Credly digital credentials. So Gemma mentioned at the start that you will gain a badge if you complete the workbook. That's actually a Pearson product that we're seeing more and more people having digital credentials instead of paper-based certificates, for example. We own digital learning kind of tools. In the US, we're very well known for a lot of our e-textbooks, Pearson Plus. So yeah, a wealth and over 150 different products that we offer globally. So not just an awarding body, as many of you might think of us in the UK, who mark your exams in the summer period. We work all year round supporting learners in transforming their life through learning and through accessing our services. Next slide. So we've got just over 40 minutes left, where we're now going to really move into what today's session is about, is talking a bit about artificial intelligence. The pace that this is moving is huge. So we're seeing more and more job applicants and recruiters really leaning into the use of AI to enhance their work. So we'll talk a bit about kind of like how it's impacting today's workforce and job applicants. We'll also touch a little bit about recruiters and how they're using it, but you can kind of understand it from the inside and how you yourself might be engaging with AI through the process. And then giving you some of them really clear tips and hints to take away after today's session. Next slide, Gemma. So what is artificial intelligence? From the polls, it would suggest that many of you are already using this in your day-to-day life. So I'm not going to spend too much time on telling you what it is, but AI is a technology that enables computers and machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So there's a lot of work that's gone on behind the scenes with some of our big tech companies to generate lots of platforms that you will know, such as Copilot, ChatGPT, and other types of platforms where they have built in machine learning to basically understand our language and our patterns and problems that we put in and request for the artificial intelligence to actually give us a little bit of support and help. So as you know, Copilot, for example, you can ask it questions. It very much can give you rapid kind of responses to questions. It gives you access to an amount of knowledge and information that you can probably never find in a book at the speed that this can give you, and helps you basically work a lot faster. It's basically there to enhance the work that you can do as an individual, but not replace it. And I think that's going to be the big takeaway, is that this technology is very much an enabler, but is not taking away the fact that we want you to still be very authentic in yourself, to still be kind of utilizing it and enhancing it and not replacing it fully with the story of AI and taking away you as an individual and how you can showcase yourself. Next slide. So the impact on AI on today's job applicants, because today we're really kind of looking at how it's being used in a job market and in a job application setting. And we are talking about things like Microsoft Copilot, which helps with tasks like writing and research, through to things like ChatGPT, where it can help you with generating ideas, can often kind of help explain maybe kind of theories and things like that, and give you extra information for your learning, and also draft content. So that's the kind of tools that we'll be talking about over the next kind of 30 minutes and how you can utilize them, as they're quite readily available to use. So AI is now more often the first screener of your CV. So for many of you, the CV is still kind of a starting point for when you apply for a job role. Many big organizations still use things like application forms where you have to actually physically go through a process of entering your details, replicating your CV and a lot of your story into an online application form. It doesn't really matter if you're uploading a CV or you're completing an application form. Many organizations now use an AI agent or a robot sitting behind their systems to actually read your CV. They will be scanning your CV at a very quick speed to pick up on things like keywords that align to the job description that you're applying. So an example of this is if we have a vacancy for a data analyst apprentice, we will have put out an advert which will set out exactly what we're looking for as an employer. It will probably say things like the skill set we're looking for, or the person spec with skills like attention to detail, problem solving skills, ability to work well under pressure. And the AI will take the job description that we have posted that you've applied for and mirror exactly against your CV if you are responding with the skills and traits that we're looking for. Now, we are seeing that AI can be quite clever in this. So we also program into some of our screening technology that we use in Pearson to say that we're looking for potential. So we're not expecting you to have a lot of these skills when you're applying for things like apprenticeships, but we are looking for you to at least show awareness of them and that you are keen to develop them. So an example of this would be if we said, we're looking for someone who's a team player. You might not have an awful lot of experience of working with teams in the workplace, but you will have had a lot of experience of working with team members and other people as part of maybe your school setting or during other extracurriculum activity. So where you can pull in and draw on references where you're hitting the mark and kind of aligning yourself to the job description as much as possible would be really helpful, because the AI will draw out things like if we're looking for problem solving techniques or team working techniques, that you've mentioned that in your CV or application form, even if it's very kind of light touch, that you've shown an awareness that that's what we are looking for, and you're trying to present yourself in the best way possible so the AI can pick up on that and progress you through the different stages. So it's one of those things just to be really aware that maybe a human might not look at your CV until you're further down the selection process. That might be the next stage, is that the AI bot will actually filter a number of the CVs down to a manageable number for the recruiter, and the recruiter then will take some time to maybe even give you a call or email you to ask some follow-up questions. So taking a little bit more time when you're applying for the role to make it really sound like your own voice, and put a bit of effort in against the job description and aligning yourself to also the company and why you want to apply for them will help you stand out at that very initial stage. Otherwise, it can be quite disheartening to find out that you're being blocked from the progression through the processes just because it's being stopped and filtered by an AI bot. And it's a really easy thing to fall into because you're busy and you're applying for lots of roles. Maybe you haven't taken the time to tailor your CV or your application form for that particular job role. But I would really encourage you to take the time to spend a little bit more kind of time looking at what you're saying in your application form and on your CV, and does it align with the job role that you're applying for? And you can see there that unfortunately, we are going to see the number of entry-level roles for you to even apply for on the decrease in some sectors, where entry-level maybe roles where people were in customer service settings, data entry roles. In contact centers, we're seeing that the number of roles in those contexts are dwindling because employers are using AI to actually take those jobs. On the plus side, it means there's lots of new roles that we're seeing coming out, which are really exciting. It might even be in the world of AI and things like designing how we use technology. We're really seeing that the job roles that are coming into their own around kind of green and sustainability sectors are on the increase, and really the need for human skills. So those problem solving, connectiveness, key power skills around being really human and a great team worker, someone with empathy are going to become more apparent, and you're going to see more of those coming out than more of the more entry level roles around contact centers and things like that. So it's just, again, being mindful that you might be looking in certain areas for jobs thinking that's your first job because your family have always said that's how they entered the workplace, and these jobs are more kind of suited to entry routeways and to early careers. Some of those early career pathways may not be around because they're being replaced by AI. So it's just about being quite curious about other jobs and how AI might be changing the landscape and the roles that you can apply for as well. It's exciting though, so I don't want to kind of put the fear in people, because we're seeing some really exciting teams and jobs being created in Pearson. I know if I was younger, I'd be really kind of excited about some of the job roles and apprenticeship activity that we're seeing coming through. So some of the more entry level roles that maybe in the past would have been not the most challenging and inspiring won't be there, but they're being replaced with what I think will be quite exciting opportunities in the future. So next thing that we're seeing with the impact of AI on job applicants is that interviews are becoming more automated. And one of the things that we are trialing this year in Pearson is actually using an AI agent to do the first interview. So that will be run by an agent. He is very personable. He comes on, he introduces himself, he gets to know you, very human-like in his approach. He asks you questions about yourself to help you kind of warm up, as any other kind of human would. Some of the questions we've seen are things like, tell me about your favorite song, tell me about your day, tell me about kind of just generally what kind of drives you. So they are very human-like, I would say, and they give you the ability to actually come across in your own voice as well. It can feel a little bit weird that you're actually kind of being taken through a process by a robot as an interview, especially if it's one of your first interviews. So do still practice with people at home and at your college setting in school if you can. The more and more you practice having mock interviews, the better. But don't be surprised if when you turn up for an interview, and you should be informed about this, by the way, if it's a system and an AI generated interview. But don't be surprised that it could very much be run by a bot. There are, I think online you can go and have a look and see if there's any free tools to actually engage with bots, to just make sure that you're aware of the timing and pauses, and you're really clear in articulating your ideas in terms of how you would respond to interview questions, especially some of those introductory questions. If you were asked to, tell the bot about yourself, tell them a little bit about kind of like what your strengths and weaknesses are, it's always worth just practicing those. So you always have them ready for an interview, regardless of whether or not it's a bot or not. But we're seeing more and more of that being used. I've mentioned about that entry-level jobs are shrinking and changing. It's worth just keeping kind of up to date in that, in terms of kind of the new sectors and jobs that are being replaced, so that you're constantly looking and aligning your skills and potential kind of passions for jobs that are going to be more readily available in the future. And yeah, as I said, some of these new skills that are emerging that we're really looking for are people to be very AI literate. Behind all of this kind of use of AI, we need people who can actually be designers of it, who can help us run it, maintain it. So we are in Pearson, for example, going through a big transformational shift in terms of digital technology roles, and those that are showcasing those curiosities around AI data will definitely have a place in our organisation going forward, as well as some of the other human skills that I've mentioned about really kind of honing in on your problem solving abilities, critical thinking, human skills that will not be replaced by AI, that empathetic creativity, drawing on if you are a creative person, articulating that well in interviews will come across really well. And you can see that only 5% of employers will require a traditional degree, with many preferring skills-based qualifications going forward. Even as an awarding organisation, this is a challenge for us. We are in the business of awarding things like degree, certification, qualifications, and we very much see that there is a place for those. But we are seeing more and more requests from employers to look at how we credential skills, how do we assess skills, and it might not always be in the traditional sense of exams and things like that. So it's a very big shift in the world of work for you guys. But I want everyone to kind of take away from this that it's an exciting time to be entering the world of work and gaining these new skills. And then lastly, just around bias, as many of you might know, in the hiring process, employers really strive to be fair and accessible in the hiring process, taking account of all of the kind of personal biases that can come into the journey. So recruiters have a job on their hands because they are very much kind of holding the kind of decisions about who goes forward in the job application process, and they try where possible to make sure that it's as data driven and fair as possible. And AI is a really great way to do this. So we're seeing more and more that the teams are using this to ensure that scoring is right when we're having more kind of essential skills based interviews, and scoring people on things like mini tests and assessments, that it is marked in a very fair and consistent way. But we're also aware and making sure that throughout the process, we're ensuring that AI isn't bringing in any other new biases depending on the data set and the technology that drives it. So when we're designing things like agents, we're very mindful that the agent is designed with accessibility and potential in mind. We are aware that a lot of early careers candidates do not have a lot of experience. So we don't want agents to be drawing on and scoring people very early in their career who don't have a lot of examples and experience in areas to showcase in the workplace. So it's one of the things that Petronella and myself are constantly feeding back, is that we're looking for potential and building that into the process. Next slide, Gemma. Petronella, am I handing over to you at this point?
Yep.
I think it's your time to come on. Thank you very much.
Over. So hello everyone. My name is Petronella, and just a small background about me, just so you can understand a little bit more on my perspective on what I'm going to say later on through this session is. So initially I was a T-level student. I did a T-level business management and administration course. Then I transitioned onto a technical source apprentice, meaning I reviewed thousands and thousands of CVs, pre-screened many candidates, so I do have sort of that close relationship with what a CV is, what it looks like, and when AI has been used. So, let's talk about why we need to talk about AI and why does it matter when you apply for jobs. Well, as you can see, and by the polls that we saw, that AI is basically part of the application process. I would say it's part of your everyday life, asking questions. It's basically like a friend that you always have next to you. And many people use tools like ChatGPT to help them write their CVs, personal statement, or even application answers if there are any during the application stage. And that includes students like yourselves. When I was around that age, sixth form, year 11, 12, I didn't know much about AI, so I was not lucky enough to have heard of it. So I was just basically going with the flow. Well, like I mentioned, a lot of you are using AI, but at the same time, so do recruiters do, and also recruiters receive hundreds or even thousands of applications for a single role. As you can imagine, a large number of those applications are written or heavily supported by AI. Well, what does that mean? It means that a lot of CVs and answers look exactly the same and sound the same, which is so hard to be separated. So when everything is so generic, it becomes much, much harder to stand out. Even if you're actually a great candidate, you won't be able to stand out just because your CV or your personal statement will just sound very, very robotic. Well, your biggest advantage isn't perfect wording or long descriptions. So that's what a lot of people think, that having a really perfect wording or really long descriptions or a long skills list will make you stand out. But your real advantage is your real experiences, your personality, and your examples. Yes, AI can help you structure your application, but it cannot replace your story. And recruiters can tell the difference. So, my advice would be to, yes, use AI for maybe thoughts or ideas on how to structure your story and your examples and skills that you may have that you want to present throughout your CV and application process. So that's about why we need to talk about AI. And moving forward to the next slide, we're going to talk about what recruiters actually want. And then, so what the thing is about this is that there is a really big and common belief that recruiters want perfect grammar, long words, or professional sounding languages. In reality, that's not what makes a strong application. What recruiters really, really want is to see the real stories. What's hidden behind that sort of letter or hidden behind that CV? So how did you do that? What have you learned? And then how fancy that language sounds doesn't really matter. Um, so even if it's something really small, that could be like a school project or an assignment or a presentation that you did at college, that is something more valuable rather than AI coming up with examples or just specific skills. So recruiters, I would say, like I mentioned to you, an example can be is instead of saying I have strong communication skills, we want to know when you use them. Maybe, like I mentioned before, in a group project or a customer service role, or if you have any work experience, or even a presentation, you gain skills throughout those activities that you can put into your CV. Long lists of skills don't mean much on their own. So yes, you can put up what skills you have, but link them to real life examples. Anyone can say that they're organized, they're motivated, or they're a really good team player. But what stands out are the specific examples that prove those skills. Again, they can be from school, college, work experience, part-time jobs, or placements. So you can gain experience not just from working, you can gain experience from like day-to-day life activities that you do on your daily basis. As a result, I would say clear and honest and evidence-based would always beat the impressive sounding words and CVs. So keep that in mind. Moving forward to the next slide is we're going to talk about how recruiters use AI. As well as you use AI, students or applicants, we use AI as well to make our lives a little bit easier, just as this is what we believe our Pearson is AI coming and helping us out rather than just replacing our job. It's not that, it's just helping us do better. So I would say that AI is often used to scan CVs quickly, looking for clear skills, keywords, and evidence that match the role. It basically kind of summarizes applications so recruiters can quickly spot strong examples as well as explained experiences. So it just takes a CV really and puts into really quick bullet points as you sort of summarize it and see if it's worth sort of then spending a couple of more minutes into that CV. It also really helps compare what you've written against the job description. So if you put in the job description on your CV, we can sort of see what sort of aligns from your CV with the job description. So whether checking whether your examples actually do much what the role needs. Another thing that is very important that we use AI for is consistency checking. AI can really spot if your CV or application answers and online profiles don't line up. For example, if dates or skills do not match, that is sort of something that it can identify. And then I would say AI is also used for initial screening, like Shivan mentioned, especially when there are lots of applications going on. It's just to really help out to just dial a little bit down the numbers of applications. So AI, but just to remember, AI does not make the final decisions, but it does decide what gets looked at more closely. I wouldn't say that all organizations do that. Just a few, I would say, but AI has been used by recruiters to make them sort of make decisions at a faster rate. So, like it writes down there, AI does not hire you; humans still make the decision. So we do make the final decision. Moving forward is to the next slide. We're going to talk about why generic AI CVs don't really work and why should you just have a really good but personal CV. Well, this is where relying too heavily on AI can cause very big problems. Generic AI written CVs often use the same phrases as thousands of other applicants, which makes them more easy to spot and easy to forget. So, if we read over and over the same CV, we won't be able to remember you as a person. So, it will just sort of go in the eye of AI and we won't revisit that CV anymore. They can sound overly formal, robotic, and unnatural, not like a real person at all. Sometimes AI adds experiences, skills, or responsibilities that didn't actually do. And that can become a big issue if you're asked in an interview, just because a lot of recruiters, what they do, or interviewers, they do have your CV opened during an interview, and they can sort of extract key questions from your CV. And if they do see that there's sort of a big pause or there's a struggle in answering that question, they will immediately understand that that is not a real CV. You also see a lot of vague statements like, I'm passionate about teamwork and innovation with no example to back up. Yes, you can put that into your CV, but you have to evidence it. If you cannot evidence it, that means it's just AI written and it is not a truthful statement. Recruiters also read statements like that every single day, and without evidence, they mean very little, like I mentioned to you. The strongest applications use AI as a support tool for structure, ideas, or checking clarity. But again, keep the content personal, honest, and specific. Again, AI should help you tell your story, not replace it. That is the key sort of advice I would give. Yes, use AI, but don't allow AI to replace who you are or replace your experiences, your skills, and what you want to sort of show through your CV. Moving forward, I believe we have the tips sort of video that our talent acquisition manager, who has over 10 years of experience in a technical recruitment, so she has recruited thousands and thousands of applicants. And I think I would just share my screen so we can hear what she has to say. Oh, let me see. Is that okay? Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, that's great, Petronella. I can see it.
We can't hear it, Petronella.
I think you might have to share it. When you share it, you should click share with sound. That might work.
Oh, oops.
It's all
Let
right.
me just try again.
You have to unmute yourself, I think.
My name's Sam. I'm one of the talent managers here at Pearson, and today I just wanted to give you some handy hints and tips when using AI to apply for roles. So now we're moving into the practical advice. These tips will help you use AI smartly when applying for jobs without losing what makes you unique. Tip number 1, AI is great for tidying your ideas, but not replacing your voice. For example, a good use of AI is ask it to make a bullet clearer or shorten a paragraph, whereas bad use would be asking it to write your CV or make you sound experienced. Keep your personality. That's what recruiters want. Why? Because AI generated content often comes across as generic and robotic. It tends to overuse buzzwords and lacks the softer skills and authentic tone that recruiters pick up on immediately. We notice when an application feels machine-made, as it usually sounds polished but empty, missing some of the key skills like collaboration, adaptability, and empathy. These human elements are what makes a candidate stand out, so don't let AI erase them. Tip number 2, use the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. This is a simple way to turn everyday experiences into strong examples. Here's how it works. So what is the situation? Set the scene. Where are you? What was happening at the time? The task? Explain what you needed to do or what was expected of you. The action? That's where you describe what you actually did and the steps that you took. And the result? Share what happened because of your actions. Did something improve? Did you learn a skill? Even the small things count. For example, if you helped organise a school fundraiser, the situation would be, our class needed to raise money for a trip. The task, I volunteered to help plan the event. The action was, I created posters, promoted it on social media, and helped set up on the day. And the result, well, we raised £200 and everyone enjoyed the event. Using this method shows teamwork, organisation, and initiative, all skills that recruiters value. Tip number 3, make your soft skills obvious. Show, don't tell. So instead of writing, I have great teamwork skills, say, I worked with these 3 classmates to plan a project, organise roles, and helped us finish early. Recruiters remember examples, not claims. Tip number 4, before you submit your CV, read it out loud. If it doesn't sound like you, change it. You can ask AI to rewrite in a confident but natural tone, but make sure it still feels authentic. Your voice is what makes you stand out. Why does this matter? Well, when we review applications, we're looking for individuality and clarity. A CV that feels overly polished or formatted often signals over-reliance on AI. It can strip away the subtle cues of personality and judgment that show how you think and communicate. Recruiters value those signals because they predict cultural fit and adaptability, qualities that no algorithm can fake. Tip number 5, you can use AI to match your experience to a job. Paste the job description into an AI tool and ask which skills align with your background. Highlight those skills as long as they're true. Turn responsibilities into achievements. This keeps your application relevant without losing authenticity. Why this matters? Again, because recruiters can tell when an application is copy and pasted from a job description without context. It signals a lack of genuine engagement with the role itself. So AI can help you identify keywords, but the real value comes from weaving those into your authentic examples of your life. For example, if the job ad mentions customer service, don't just write that phrase. Instead say, I helped a visitor at a school open day by answering questions and guiding them to classrooms. This shows the skill in action and makes it relatable. In short, AI is just a helper, not the star. Your experiences and personality are what makes you stand out. Use AI to support how you tell your story, never to replace it. Aim for sounding real and confident, not perfect. Thanks, everyone. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Petronella, for that. And thank you to Sam, who created that video for you guys. She's very passionate about the use of AI in the right way. And I think you can really tell from some of her tips, she has seen it all in the world of how people have used AI in good forms and in bad forms. And yeah, I think what we truly want is for you to keep your authentic self, to keep your own voice, to see AI as a digital teammate. So someone you have in your toolbox of support to help you when you're doing applications. They can help you structure your CVs, application forms, even prepare for interviews. But we want to really get to know you. It's you we're hiring. It's you that we have to engage with day in, day out when you come to work. We want you to show up and not your AI teammate. So trying to keep that authentic self and your voice throughout, using AI tools to the best of your ability, but they help with the structure, but you're the proof and the living human that we really want to employ. So I hope that you found that useful. Petronella, do you have any parting words for our attendees tonight?
Well, I think I would say AI is a great tool. It can sort of help you out, step outside your comfort zone or step outside the box. Sometimes you just think you just have one idea and that's the only option. But with the use of AI, you can expand on your ideas, but make them personal. Yes, use AI, but try to add that touch of personality. That's what I would say. Also, don't just sort of copy and paste. I think sometimes it's just so much easier to, yep, that sounds perfect. I'll just put it into my CV. I know it is tricky, but try not to do that. Try to sort of steal the idea of the how good it sounds and make it your own into your own words and into and put emphasis on your own passion or on your own skills and what you want to sort of to transfer through your CV. So I think that's what my advice would be for everybody watching here.
Brilliant. Thank you both. And I think it's such a hot topic at the moment, isn't it? I know we had a lot of really lovely questions kind of coming in from people that have kind of been answered, and we'll go back and we'll share some of those again in case anybody's missed them. I had a bit of a question around because I think a lot of the time using AI, obviously it's such a hot topic as we were saying at the moment anyway, but I think sometimes it's used as a comfort blanket where people don't feel confident with their applications. And we're not saying not to use it, are we? But we're saying to be careful how you're using it. What would be your best bit of advice, I guess, in terms of using it to help somebody's confidence? Would it be doing it yourself, having a go, and then potentially using it as like a checking tool? What would you say to someone who said that they weren't confident in their own ability to can do it themselves?
I would say it really depends on how you are as an individual. Do you need something to kind of get you going, like as a start of a 10? So would it be helpful for you to maybe put in kind of the request to help build a CV, and then you kind of do the adapting and you amend and you put your own personal slant on that? So if you're someone who really struggles to kind of get going, and that will just give you a little bit of structure to kind of start building on a CV or the kind of points for an application form, then do it that way. And for others, it will be you create it and then you can upload the document and ask AI to, tweak it, give you some pointers. And I would always say, even if it comes out the kind of the best CV and you're really happy with it, you think it looks really polished, it stand out, it's probably going to look the same as others. So if you're doing that and wholly relying on it to kind of do the polishing and structure stuff, just be a little bit mindful that we don't need it to be completely perfect, because if you rely on those tools to do that, the likelihood it's going to make it into a framework that others are using. So then it starts to become quite generic and look the same. So putting your personal slant on it, whether or not you feel that you can tweak it after you've used the technology, or if you like to kind of have a start of a 10 and it kind of helps you with building ideas and generating those kind of to get you started. Because sometimes we just need a little bit of help to kind of generate ideas, but actually then take it and kind of draw on it what it means for us. Petrana, what would you say in that context?
Yep, I think I will have to agree with you, Sharon. It's just how do you need to use AI is really, do you want to get an idea? Is good. A starting point is great. But just having just copying and pasting like I mentioned before, not. Just because imagine you're using AI, there's thousands of others using AI for the same purpose. And if everybody uses AI, most likely you all are going to have the same personal statement, the same CV, and so on. So how can a recruiter choose a specific CV if all look the same? So just when you start building that CV, just think of this: what can I put into my CV to make it different and not similar to all others using AI to sort of create or start how to help them build that CV.
Just one point to add, because we haven't really talked about kind of the next step in the application process, but it's obviously a really big part is more on the interviews. We've kind of touched on how it can be used for interview screening. Is we are now embedding technology using our Pearson exam proctoring services, where we can actually have this proctoring kind of like overlay over an interview, so that if somebody is looking at another screen, or we feel they're typing into ChatGPT or Copilot interview questions and they're getting the responses that seem quite robotic, we now actually have technology to see that you're using that as well, from how your eyes are moving around the screen, how long it takes you to respond, exactly if it's perfect answers. And that just gives you another kind of go ahead to say, like, use it in terms of some of your prep, but real examples and sort of the truth matters. Because if you're kind of setting yourself up and kind of not using your own authentic self and the experiences you have and the skills you have, later down the line you may struggle, and they'll only be found out at a certain point. So really leaning into your own experiences and kind of real examples, because we now have so many ways of catching you out. So it's about just utilizing it, having it as your kind of digital teammate, and finding your way with it. And I think we're all quite new in some ways to this. So yeah, leaning into how it works best for you. If you know you're someone who is kind of leaving things at the last minute and thinks, oh, I can actually just rely on ChatGPT and things to just completely come up with all the answers for me, they're not really going to be your answers, and you're not really going to be able to give examples and back it up at various stages that will come after that point.
Yeah, no, thank you both. And I think actually there was a question right at the beginning, Kaylin, who asked about how it was used in other stages of interviews. And I think if you imagined you had 5 friends and all 5 of you typed the same question into ChatGPT, you're all going to get the same answer. And I think we were speaking to somebody else before, Petronella, it might have been yourself, about people who are creating presentations using AI. Of course, they're putting in the title of this presentation and all getting the same presentation, and actually it's about making sure you're standing out and you're selling yourself, isn't it? And maybe I think employers aren't expecting you to be perfect for entry level roles, but they want to see potential, so it is about trying to believe in yourself as much as possible, isn't it? We had a question as well about somebody who potentially is considering university as well, and would you say the same advice would apply with like university applications and the use of AI?
Yeah, and universities and other sort of education institutes have had to be ahead of the curve with this, with things like plagiarism in terms of work that you hand in anyway. So this isn't completely new around how people are checked. So things like Turnitin and other kind of platforms will be used for university kind of like applications, I'm sure. They will also be kind of looking to kind of ascertain how much of it is your real authentic self. So I would say all of what we're kind of saying around applications for roles is probably the same in terms of applications for university places.
Okay, great. And we actually had quite a few questions about whether or not you think kind of getting like small qualifications as in AI would help people set themselves out amongst the crowd, I guess, as it's going to be such a tool that so many people are using, if it's going to be beneficial for them to have.
Yes, 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 yes. We're really being encouraged in Pearson, all of us, to be curious about AI. We all have an AI goal this year as part of our kind of performance goals for the organisation. We've launched a number of AI apprenticeships from level 3 upwards because we see the benefit of that. So any sort of upskilling you can do, YouTube videos, any of that you can kind of be gemming yourself up with the skills in terms of AI within the parameters of what we're saying today, in using it wisely to sell yourself, really. But yeah, I would definitely recommend that people can do short courses. There's lots out there actually that can be really helpful.
I guess it's like I similarly, I guess, with like investing in your time, attending webinars, doing different
Yeah.
courses, like having the, like we were saying, like the evidence of being able to do that, whether it's a qualification or a LinkedIn badge, hint, hint.
Yes. One of our Credly digital badges would be exactly an example of that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's having that evidence, hasn't it, that you've gone away and you've spent time on kind of bettering yourself to prepare for the world of work. We had a quite an interesting question in our Q&A box that and I guess as a company that's using AI, it was about, are companies more economical with AI in terms of using it in play? Because I know, Petronella, you mentioned that it's not taking away from people, but I guess is it allowing teams to be potentially more economical on where their responsibilities might align? Quite a tricky question, I guess.
I definitely see the potential in this. It's freeing us up from doing transactional, more kind of low level work that takes our time. And Petronella and I are already seeing this about how within our program we can utilize it and leverage it for things like even applications, but taking it further than that, how do we kind of schedule people and have automation built into our roles so that Petronella and I have a bit more free time and space to actually idealize and come up with innovative things to run on our programs, how we can engage on more of the human side, meeting apprentices. It frees up time. So I think it will shift our thoughts and gives us more space to do that. And I think effectively it could be, down the line from a business point of view, definitely something that can help with like profitability and savings.
Oh, amazing. I guess, yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you both so much for sharing your expertise this evening. And it's always really great, I guess, from us as well to hear how, yeah, like different employers are using it and to hear that the best practice and best advice to be given to students looking to make those applications. I think in our box, we're just about to share kind of a feedback form, and we always do really appreciate your feedback. As I said, we are going to be hosting more Pearson webinars. We've got another one coming up next month. The calendar and the workbook have been linked in the chat box, so please do give it a click. Sign up to the next ones. As I said, do reach out to us if you have any questions. But thank you both again so much for kind of putting this webinar on for everybody. And thank you so much for everybody who has attended on this Tuesday evening. So
Thank you. Thanks very much to the Pathway, and thanks for your questions. And please do fill out the feedback. We always like reading that and improve on future events based on that. So please take the time to do that, and hope as many of you will fill out the workbook as well. It's a really great way to build your skills and maybe get your first digital credential badge. So looking forward to seeing those as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, have a lovely evening, everybody, and we hope to see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.